The fluorescent lights of Denver International Airport flickered against polished floors as travelers hurried past security checkpoints. Gate announcements echoed through vast corridors. Outside, dawn painted the Rocky Mountains in shades of gold and purple. Inside Terminal C, a pregnant woman stood frozen beside a pink floral suitcase while a German shepherd barked with desperate intensity. Sarah Mitchell's hands trembled as she stared at the dog. Her stomach tightened. The baby inside kicked hard against her ribs. What Rex discovered inside that luggage would expose a network spanning 3 countries. It would save 17 lives, including the one Sarah carried beneath her heart. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The morning had begun quietly in Sarah's hotel room, 6 miles from the airport. She'd woken at 5, her back aching from 7 months of pregnancy weight. The room smelled of lavender soap and stale coffee. She moved slowly, folding maternity clothes into the suitcase her mother had given her years ago. Pink canvas with embroidered flowers. The last gift before cancer took her. Sarah's phone buzzed on the nightstand. A video call from overseas. Marcus appeared on screen, his military uniform crisp despite the desert heat behind him. His face lit up when he saw her. "Hey, beautiful. How's my little man doing?" Sarah smiled, rubbing her belly. "Kicking like he wants out already. 2 more months, buddy. Wait for daddy." Marcus's expression shifted. "You sure about this flight? It's a long trip." "It's my last chance to see you before he's born. Your deployment extends next month." Sarah's throat tightened. "I need this, Marcus. I need to see you." He nodded slowly. "I know you do." They talked for 20 minutes. About names, about nursery colors, about the life waiting after his tour ended. When the call ended, Sarah felt the familiar ache of his absence settle back into her chest. She finished packing mechanically. Maternity jeans, loose sweaters, the baby book her obstetrician recommended. Her friend Melissa had helped her yesterday afternoon, insisting Sarah rest while she organized everything. Melissa had been so helpful since they'd reconnected 3 months ago. Old college friends rebuilding their bond. Sarah hadn't noticed Melissa spending extra time with the suitcase's interior pockets. 20 miles away, in the concrete kennel facility behind Denver Police Headquarters, Rex refused his breakfast. Again. Officer James Chen stood outside the chain-link enclosure, watching the German shepherd lie motionless on cold concrete. Rex's brown eyes stared at nothing. His food bowl sat untouched for the 3rd morning in a row. Chen's jaw clenched. "Come on, boy. You have to eat something." Rex didn't move. It had been 4 months since the car bomb. 4 months since Officer David Torres's vehicle exploded outside a warehouse in Commerce City. Torres died instantly. Rex had been thrown clear by the blast, suffering only minor burns and a fractured rib. Physically, he'd healed within weeks. Emotionally, he'd never recovered. Chen had tried everything. New handlers, favorite toys, extended play sessions. Rex cooperated mechanically during training drills, but showed no enthusiasm, no joy. The spark that made him one of Colorado's best detection dogs had vanished with Torres. "One more day," Chen muttered, unlocking the kennel. "Then we're having the retirement conversation." Rex stood slowly, his movements precise but joyless. He followed Chen to the transport van without pulling at the leash. No excitement, no tail wag, just hollow obedience. The morning air was crisp as they drove toward the airport. Chen glanced in the rearview mirror at Rex sitting perfectly still in his secured compartment. "David wouldn't want you like this," Chen said quietly. "He'd want you to keep going." Rex's ears twitched. Nothing more. They arrived at the airport at 6:15. Morning shift. Holiday travelers packed every terminal. Families heading to Thanksgiving destinations. Business travelers rushing to meetings. The air buzzed with rolling suitcases and excited chatter. Chen led Rex through employee corridors to Terminal C. Their assignment was routine patrol. Walk the security perimeter. Provide visible deterrent. Rex's detection skills were wasted on such basic duty, but Chen couldn't risk him on critical operations anymore. Not when his focus seemed so fractured. Sarah arrived at the terminal at 6:30. She'd taken a rideshare, her pink suitcase heavy beside her. Her lower back throbbed. The baby pressed head against her bladder constantly. She needed this flight to end before it began. The security line stretched 50 people deep. Sarah joined the queue, shifting her weight from foot to foot. Her phone showed texts from Melissa, sent late last night. "Have a safe flight. So glad I could help you pack." Sarah smiled, typing back a thank you. Melissa hadn't shown up this morning to see her off as promised, but that was fine. She'd done enough already. The line moved slowly. Sarah placed her purse in a gray bin, her shoes, her jacket. Finally, she lifted the pink suitcase onto the conveyor belt. It disappeared through the black rubber curtains of the X-ray machine. 30 feet away, Rex walked beside Chen on routine patrol. His head hung low, his tail motionless. They'd completed 2 terminal loops already. Nothing unusual, nothing requiring his skills. Then the wind shifted. A scent hit Rex's nose like an electric shock. Chemical, familiar, impossible. His head snapped up. His entire body went rigid. Chen felt the leash go taut. "Rex? What is it?" Rex's nose worked frantically, filtering hundreds of competing smells. Perfume, coffee, cleaning solution, sweat. There, that scent. Synthetic compounds with a specific molecular signature. He'd smelled it before. In evidence bags. In Torres's truck the week before he died. Rex's training overrode his depression. His muscles coiled. He spun toward the security checkpoint, pulling Chen hard. "Whoa, Yex, Keel!" But Rex was already moving. His paws found purchase on slick floors as he charged toward the X-ray belt. People scattered. Someone shouted. Rex didn't care. He spotted the pink suitcase emerging from the scanner. The scent radiated from it in waves. Rex skidded to a halt 3 feet from the bag. He dropped into a perfect sit-alert position. Then, breaking every protocol he'd ever learned, he lunged forward and barked. Not a warning bark, a desperate, urgent alarm. Sarah turned from collecting her belongings. Her stomach dropped when she saw the German Shepherd fixated on her mother's suitcase. His barking echoed off terminal ceilings. "That's my bag," she said weakly. "I packed it myself." But even as she spoke, doubt crept in. Had she packed everything, or had Melissa? Rex barked again. His paws scratched at the suitcase zipper. His eyes locked on Sarah's. Something passed between them in that moment. Not aggression, not accusation. Warning. Chen arrived, breathing hard. "Rex, stand down." Rex refused. He'd found something. Something connected to Torres. Something dangerous. A security officer approached, young and dismissive. His name tag read Morrison. "Ma'am, is this your bag?" Sarah nodded, her hand protectively covering her belly. "Yes, but I don't understand. It's just clothes and baby things." Morrison rolled his eyes. "False alert. Happens with hormonal changes sometimes. The dog's probably confused." Chen's face hardened. Rex doesn't false alert, ever. Morrison waved him off. "Ma'am, you're holding up the line. Just repack your bag and move along." But Rex wouldn't move. He positioned himself between Sarah and Morrison. His barking intensified. Sarah's heart hammered. The baby kicked frantically inside her. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. And somehow, this dog knew exactly what it was. A senior TSA agent pushed through the gathering crowd. Her gray hair was pulled back severely. Her badge read Vasquez. She'd seen 30 years of airport security, and her instincts had kept planes safe through countless close calls. "What's the situation?" Her voice cut through the noise. Morrison gestured dismissively at Rex. "Dog's acting up over a pregnant woman's luggage. Probably smells baby lotion or something." Vasquez's eyes narrowed. She looked at Rex, then at Chen. "Officer, what's your assessment?" Chen crouched beside Rex, studying his posture. The dog's entire body vibrated with tension. His focus remained locked on the pink suitcase. This wasn't confusion. This was certainty. "He's alerting on something specific," Chen said. "He's trained for explosives detection. If he says there's something in that bag, there's something in that bag." Sarah's legs felt weak. She gripped the metal table edge for support. "I swear I don't know what he's sensing. My friend helped me pack yesterday. I was resting because my back hurt." Vasquez's expression shifted. "Your friend packed for you?" "Not everything. Just organized things while I showered." Sarah pulled out her phone with shaking hands. "Melissa. We went to college together. She's been helping me prepare for the baby." Rex's barking suddenly stopped. He sat perfectly still, then did something Chen had never witnessed. assessed. The dog gently placed one paw on Sarah's shoe. Not aggressive, protective. His brown eyes met hers with startling intelligence. Sarah felt tears burn her throat. "You're not trying to get me in trouble. You're trying to help me." Vasquez made her decision. "Ma'am, I need you to open that suitcase, for your own safety." Morrison protested. "Her flight boards in 35 minutes. This is excessive." "Then we work fast." Vasquez pulled on latex gloves. "Ma'am?" Sarah's hands trembled as she reached for the zipper. The pink fabric felt suddenly foreign. How many times had she used the suitcase? Dozens. She knew every pocket, every stain, every worn seam. Didn't she? She unzipped the main compartment. Maternity jeans lay folded on top. Underneath, soft sweaters in neutral colors, a toiletry bag, her prenatal vitamins, everything normal. Rex watched intently but didn't react. His nose twitched, filtering scents. Sarah removed items one by one, placing them on the inspection table. Her movements were slow, careful. Each piece of clothing felt like evidence against a crime she didn't commit. "See?" Morrison said. "Nothing. Can we move this along?" But Rex remained focused. He stood, circling the now half-empty suitcase. His nose worked along the interior lining. Then he stopped at the back panel. His paw came up, scratching deliberately at a specific spot. Chen leaned closer. "He's indicating something there." Vasquez ran her gloved fingers along the lining where Rex pawed. The fabric felt slightly thicker in one section. She pressed harder. Something firm underneath. Not part of the suitcase's original structure. "There's a secondary layer here." Vasquez's voice dropped. "Man, did you know about this?" Sarah shook her head frantically. "No. That's my mother's old suitcase. I've had it for 2 years. There's nothing hidden in it." Vasquez found a nearly invisible zipper running along the bottom seam. It blended perfectly with the floral pattern. Unless you knew to look for it, you'd never notice. She pulled the zipper slowly. The hidden compartment revealed itself. Inside were items Sarah had never seen before. Vacuum-sealed packages containing clear vials. Medical syringes still in sterile packaging. A passport with a stranger's photo. A small USB drive wrapped in bubble wrap. Sarah's vision blurred. The terminal spun around her. "I didn't put those there. I swear I didn't." Rex sat again, his alert complete. His job was done. Now he positioned himself beside Sarah, his solid warmth pressing against her leg. Morrison's smugness evaporated. "I'll call it in." Vasquez carefully extracted one vial, holding it to the light. The liquid inside was faintly amber. The label showed text in a language Sarah didn't recognize. Cyrillic letters stamped across medical warnings. "We need a detective unit." Vasquez's tone was grim. "And don't touch anything else." Sarah couldn't stop shaking. Her baby kicked hard, responding to her spiking adrenaline. "Please, I don't understand what's happening. Melissa packed this. She must have put these in there without telling me." Chen spoke quietly into his radio, requesting backup. His free hand rested on Rex's head. The dog leaned into the touch, something he hadn't done in months. "Ma'am, I need you to stay calm." Vasquez said, "Can you tell me about your friend Melissa? How long have you known her?" Sarah struggled to focus through her panic. "We met in college, lost touch after graduation. She reached out 3 months ago through social media, said she was back in Denver." "And she knew about your travel plans?" "Yes. I told her I was visiting my husband overseas. He's deployed. This is my last chance before the baby comes." Sarah's voice cracked. "She offered to help me pack. Said I should rest. I trusted her." Vasquez and Chen exchanged looks. Something unspoken passed between them. More security personnel arrived. They cordoned off the area, redirecting confused travelers. Whispers spread through the terminal. Phones appeared, recording from a distance. A plainclothes detective pushed through the perimeter. She was mid-40s, sharp-eyed, with an air of authority that made Morrison step back immediately. Her badge identified her as Detective Laura Hayes. TSA called in a suspicious package. Hayes scanned the scene, taking in Sarah's tears, Rex's protective stance. The items spread across the inspection table. Vasquez briefed her quickly, pointing to each element. The vials, the passport, the hidden compartment. Hayes picked up the passport with gloved hands, flipping it open. This woman was reported missing 8 months ago. Disappeared from Tucson, Arizona. She looked at Sarah. "You've never seen her?" "Never." Sarah could barely speak. Hayes examined the vials more closely. She photographed the labels, then made a call. Her conversation was clipped, professional. When she hung up, her expression had darkened considerably. Those vials contained synthetic oxytocin analogs, black market labor inducers. Hayes's eyes met Sarah's. Someone planned to force you into early labor. The words hit Sarah like a physical blow. Her knees buckled. Chen caught her elbow, steadying her. "Why?" Sarah whispered. "Why would anyone do that?" Rex pressed harder against her leg. His warmth anchored her to reality. Hayes pulled out a tablet, accessing databases. "You're 7 months pregnant, traveling internationally alone. Your baby would need NICU care if born prematurely. Hospital protocols overseas vary significantly from U.S. standards." Sarah's hand covered her mouth. Horror flooded through her. The woman in this passport was also pregnant when she vanished. Hayes's voice was steady, but her jaw was tight. "We're looking at something bigger than simple smuggling." Morrison finally found his voice. "You think this was human trafficking?" "I think this woman was targeted." Hayes turned to Sarah. "When did you last see Melissa?" "Last night. She dropped me at my hotel after helping me pack. Said she'd meet me here this morning, but she never showed." "Do you have photos of her? Contact information?" Sarah fumbled with her phone, pulling up Melissa's social media profile. Hayes took the phone, studying the images carefully. Then Hayes went very still. She zoomed in on one photo. Melissa standing outside a coffee shop, smiling at the camera. In the background, barely visible, was a man watching from across the street. "I need to make another call." Hayes stepped away, her phone already at her ear. Rex suddenly stood. His ears swiveled forward. His body went rigid again, facing the terminal crowds 50 yards away. A low growl rumbled from his chest. Chen's hand went to his service weapon. "What is it, boy?" Rex stared intently at a woman in a red coat moving through the crowd. She had dark hair pulled into a ponytail, sunglasses despite being indoors. She glanced toward the security commotion, then immediately changed direction. Sarah followed Rex's gaze. Her blood turned to ice. "That's Melissa." The woman in red heard her name. For one frozen moment, their eyes met across the distance. Then Melissa turned and ran. Rex lunged forward, but Chen held his leash firm. "Stay with the witness," he ordered Morrison, then released Rex. "Track." The German shepherd exploded into motion. His paws hammered against polished floors as he wove through startled travelers. Chen sprinted behind him, radio crackling with alerts. Hayes was already running, her detective's badge held high. "Federal agent, clear the way." Melissa disappeared into a crowd near gate C-27. Rex didn't hesitate. His nose filtered hundreds of scents, isolating hers. Perfume mixed with fierce sweat. Chemical residue from the vials she'd handled. He tracked it like a beacon. Sarah remained at the security checkpoint, trembling violently. Morrison tried to guide her to a chair, but she couldn't move. Her mind spun with impossible questions. Vasquez stayed close. "Ma'am, I need you to breathe. Slow breaths. Your baby needs you calm." Sarah's hand pressed against her belly. The baby kicked frantically, responding to her racing heart. "She was my friend. How could she do this?" "We'll find out." Vasquez's voice was firm. "Right now, focus on breathing." But Sarah couldn't stop seeing Melissa's face, the way she'd smiled while helping pack, the careful attention she'd paid to every detail. The insistence that Sarah rest while she organized everything. It had all been a lie. Minutes crawled past. Airport security sealed exits. Announcements requested passengers remain calm. Sarah watched the chaos unfold around her, feeling disconnected from her own body. Then Chen's voice crackled over Vasquez's radio. "Suspect cornered near baggage claim. We need backup." Vasquez squeezed Sarah's shoulder. "Stay here. Don't move." More officers rushed past. Sarah stood alone in the cordoned area, surrounded by her scattered belongings. The pink suitcase lay open like a wound, its hidden compartment exposed. She picked up her phone with shaking hands, scrolled through photos of Melissa. Smiling Melissa at a restaurant 3 weeks ago. Melissa holding tiny baby clothes at a shopping trip. Melissa hugging Sarah goodbye last night. Every memory felt poisoned now. Sarah found their text history. Months of friendly conversation. Melissa asking about her pregnancy. About Key Marcus's deployment. About her travel plans. Each question had seemed caring. Each question had been gathering information. Sarah's stomach churned. She scrolled further back to when Melissa first reached out. A simple message. "Hey stranger, saw you're in Denver now. We should catch up." How had Melissa known she was in Denver? Sarah had never posted her location publicly, never mentioned it on social media. Someone had told her, or someone had been watching. 20 minutes later, Chen returned with Rex. The dog's tongue lolled from exertion, but his eyes were alert, focused. More alive than Chen had seen him in months. "Did you catch her?" Sarah asked desperately. Chen's expression was grim. "She got into an employee corridor. We lost her in the service tunnels. Airport's locked down, but she knew the layout. This wasn't improvised." Hayes appeared behind him, her face tight with frustration. She had an exit strategy. This whole thing was planned. Sarah felt her legs give out. She collapsed into a plastic chair. "I don't understand. Why me?" Hayes pulled over another chair, sitting close. "Tell me everything about how Melissa contacted you. Every detail." Sarah walked through it mechanically. The initial message, coffee meetings, Melissa's interest in her pregnancy, her offers to help. It had felt like friendship rekindled. "Did she ever ask about your husband's deployment? Specific details?" "Yes. When he'd be back. Where he was stationed." Sarah's voice broke. "I thought she was just being supportive." Hayes made notes on her tablet. "What about your family? Did she ask about them?" "I told her my mom died 2 years ago, cancer, but I didn't have other family nearby." Sarah's tears fell freely now. "She said she'd be my support system, that I shouldn't go through pregnancy alone. She identified you as isolated, vulnerable, perfect target." Hayes's jaw clenched. This network preys on military spouses, women without local support, women who trust easily because they're desperate for connection. The words cut deep. Sarah had been so lonely. Marcus was overseas. Her mother was gone. When Melissa appeared, offering friendship, it had felt like a lifeline. It had been a trap. Rex moved closer to Sarah. He rested his chin on her knee, looking up at her with those intelligent brown eyes. His weight was solid, real, comforting. Sarah's hand found his head, fingers tangling in soft fur. "You knew. Somehow you knew." Chen watched the interaction with wonder. "He hasn't let anyone touch him like that since David died." "David?" Sarah looked up. His handler 4 months ago in a car bombing. Chen's voice was heavy. "Rex was with him when it happened." Sarah's breath caught. She looked at Rex with new understanding. "You lost someone too." Rex's tail moved slightly, not a full wag, just acknowledgement. Hayes's phone buzzed. She stepped away to take the call, her expression darkening with each passing second. When she returned, she looked directly at Sarah. "The vials in your suitcase match a batch flagged in an ongoing federal investigation. Human trafficking network targeting pregnant women. They induce early labor during international flights, claim medical emergencies, land in countries with corrupted hospital staff." Sarah's vision blurred. "And the babies? Illegal adoptions, black market sales. The mothers are sedated, told their babies didn't survive." Hayes paused. "We've documented 17 current targets. The USB drive in your bag contains their information." The terminal seemed to tilt. Sarah gripped the chair arms to keep from falling. "There's something else." Hayes pulled up a file on her tablet. "Officer David Torres was investigating this network when he died. The car bomb wasn't an accident." Chen went pale. "David never told me what he was working on." He was embedded in online support groups for military spouses. Noticed a pattern of women going missing during maternity travel. Hayes showed them a photo. David Torres in uniform, Rex sitting proudly beside him. He'd flagged Melissa's name 3 weeks before he was killed. Rex saw the photo. He whined softly, pawing at the screen. Chen's voice cracked. He was getting close. So they took him out. And Rex was there. Hayes looked at the dog with new respect. He saw everything. Sarah understood now. Rex's depression, his refusal to work. He hadn't been grieving randomly. He'd been carrying the weight of unfinished business. "The scent in my suitcase," Sarah whispered. It was connected to David's investigation. The same batch of synthetic oxytocin. Rex recognized it from evidence bags in David's truck. Hayes knelt beside the he-dog. He's been waiting to finish what David started. Rex's brown eyes shifted between the humans. His tail wagged once, purposefully. Chen wiped his eyes roughly. That's why he wouldn't bond with new handlers. He wasn't broken. He was waiting. Waiting for this. Sarah stroked Rex's ears, waiting to protect someone David was trying to save. A commotion erupted near the terminal entrance. Officers rushed toward the disturbance. Hayes's radio crackled with urgent voices. Shots fired. Employee parking structure. Hayes was on her feet instantly. Chen, stay with her. Don't let her out of your sight. She sprinted toward the exit, backup flooding behind her. Sarah pulled Rex closer. The dog pressed against her legs, solid and unwavering. Around them, travelers were being evacuated in controlled groups. Announcements urged calm, but Sarah felt anything but calm. Melissa was still out there. The network was still operational. And somewhere, 16 other women were walking into the same trap she'd narrowly escaped. Chen's phone rang. He answered, listened, then looked at Sarah with haunted eyes. They found Melissa's car in the parking structure, empty, but they found something else. He swallowed hard. Photos, surveillance photos, of you, taken over the past 3 months. Sarah's blood turned to ice. She was watching me the whole time. Every coffee shop, every doctor's appointment, every trip to the store. Chen showed her an evidence photo on his phone. Dozens of pictures spread across a car's dashboard. Sarah's face in every one. She'd never been safe, not once in 3 months. Rex growled low, sensing her fear. He positioned himself between Sarah and the terminal crowds, his body a living shield. And despite everything, despite the terror coursing through her, Sarah felt a strange sense of protection. This dog had lost his person to the same evil that had targeted her. Now he'd appointed himself her guardian. She wasn't alone anymore. Neither was he. Chen guided Sarah away from the chaos, toward a private security room deep in the terminal. The space was small, windowless, with gray walls and fluorescent lighting. A metal table, 3 chairs, a camera mounted in the corner. Sarah sank into a chair, exhausted. Her body ached from tension. Chen moved to follow Rex out, but the dog refused. He planted himself beside Sarah's chair, ignoring every command. Rex, come. Chen's voice was firm. Rex didn't budge. His eyes stayed locked on Sarah. Chen tried again. Rex, here, now. The dog looked at him briefly, then back to Sarah. His message was clear. He wasn't leaving. That's a first. Chen shook his head in disbelief. He's never disobeyed a direct command. Sarah's hand found Rex's head again. The contact steadied her racing heart. Let him stay, please. Chen considered, then nodded. I'll be right outside. You need anything? Knock twice. He left the door slightly ajar. Sarah could hear radio chatter from the corridor. Officers coordinating searches. Updates on Melissa's whereabouts. Nothing concrete. Rex sat perfectly still beside her, his warmth seeping through her jeans. Sarah closed her eyes, trying to process everything. Her friend was a criminal. Her baby had been marked for theft. A dead officer's dog had saved them both. It felt like a nightmare she couldn't wake from. Hayes entered 20 minutes later, carrying a laptop and the evidence bags from the suitcase. She set everything on the table, her movements precise. How are you holding up? Sarah laughed bitterly. How should I be? Angry, scared, confused. Hayes pulled out a chair. All normal reactions. Is my baby safe now? For the moment, yes. Hayes opened the laptop. But we need to understand what we're dealing with. The USB drive is encrypted. Our tech team is working on it. She pulled out the passport from the evidence bag, laying it flat. The photo showed a young woman with kind eyes and dark hair. 26 years old, according to the birth date. Her name was Jennifer Cortez. Disappeared from Tucson 8 months ago, during her 3rd trimester. She was traveling to visit her deployed husband in Japan. Hayes's voice was measured. She never arrived. Husband reported her missing. Investigation went cold. Sarah stared at the photo. What happened to her baby? We don't know. We've been searching for both ever since. Hayes pulled up files on her laptop. Jennifer's case matched 3 others with identical patterns. Pregnant military spouses, international travel, sudden disappearances. She turned the screen toward Sarah. 4 faces looked back. Young women, smiling in their photos. All pregnant, all gone. We suspected human. Man trafficking, but couldn't prove connection. No witnesses, no evidence. Until now. Hayes tapped the evidence bags. Your suitcase links all 4 cases. Sarah's stomach turned. How? Hayes pulled out her phone, making a call. I need Torres's case files, everything he flagged before his death. She listened, then nodded. Send them to my tablet. While waiting, Hayes studied Rex. The dog hadn't moved from Sarah's side. His attention divided between her and the door, constantly alert. Officer Chen says he's been unresponsive since Torres died. Wouldn't work. Wouldn't eat properly. They were considering retirement. And now? Sarah asked. Now he's the most focused I've seen any canine. Hayes' tablet chimed. She opened the files, scrolling quickly. Torres documented everything. Online support groups for military spouses. Women discussing pregnancy, deployment stress, isolation. She found a specific entry. 3 weeks before he died, Torres noted suspicious activity. Someone using multiple accounts to befriend vulnerable women. Offering help. Building trust. He identified the common link. Hayes turned the tablet around. Screenshots of social media profiles. Different names. Different photos. But the same person behind them all. Melissa Cord. Her real name is Melissa Sokolov, married to Dmitry Sokolov, Russian national with suspected ties to international adoption fraud. Hayes pulled up more files. They've operated for 4 years across 6 states. 31 documented cases. 31 babies stolen. Sarah couldn't breathe. 31 families destroyed. Torres was building a case. He'd infiltrated their network, posed as a pregnant military spouse online, got close enough to identify their methods. Hayes' expression darkened. Then his car exploded outside a warehouse in Commerce City. They killed him to stop the investigation. Yes, and they would have succeeded, except for one thing. Hayes looked at Rex. He was there. He survived. Rex's ears twitched at the mention of Torres. A low whine escaped his throat. Sarah understood the weight he'd been carrying. He'd watched his person die, trying to protect people like her. The trauma hadn't broken him. It had sharpened his purpose. Hayes' phone rang. She answered, listened intently, then ended the call with visible frustration. Melissa's gone. Slipped through the perimeter somehow. We're expanding the search radius. She'll come back for me. Sarah's voice was hollow. Won't she? Possibly. These networks don't like loose ends. Hayes leaned forward. But you're protected now. We know their methods. We have their target list. Most importantly, we have evidence. She held up the USB drive in its evidence bag. This contains everything. Client lists, payment records, locations of previous victims. Once we decrypt it, we can dismantle their entire operation. And the other 17 women? We're contacting them now. Intervention teams deploying to each location. Hayes checked her watch. Within the hour, they'll all be safe. Sarah felt tears slide down her cheeks, relief mixed with rage. Why did Rex recognize the scent? The vials? Hayes pulled out another file from her tablet. Crime scene photos from Torres's car. Evidence bags logged and cataloged. Torres had collected samples during his undercover work, the same synthetic oxytocin batch. Rex was trained on that specific scent signature. She zoomed in on one photo. He associated it with the last days before Torres died. Rex pressed closer to Sarah, as if confirming the story. When you placed that suitcase on the conveyor belt, Rex smelled Torres's investigation. He smelled the danger his handler died trying to stop. Hayes' voice softened. He couldn't save David, but he could save you. Sarah buried her face in Rex's fur, sobbing. The dog remained perfectly still, accepting her grief. Chen knocked and entered. Tech team cracked the USB encryption. Hayes stood quickly. All ready? Partial break, enough to pull file names and metadata. Chen handed her a printout. You need to see this. Hayes scanned the page. Her face went pale. These are adoption attorney names, fertility clinic directors, hospital administrators. This network goes deeper than we thought. She showed Sarah the list. Dozens of names across multiple countries, infrastructure designed to steal and sell children on massive scale. How long has this been happening? Sarah whispered. At least a decade based on file dates. Hayes' jaw clenched. But now we can stop it. This evidence will bring down everyone involved. Sarah looked at Rex, this grieving dog who'd refused to give up, who'd carried his handler's mission. In forward, despite his own pain. who'd recognized danger and acted when everyone else dismissed him. He finished what David started, she said quietly. No. Hayes smiled slightly. They finished it together. David built the investigation. Rex delivered the evidence. They're both heroes. Rex's tail wagged once, brief but unmistakable. Chen crouched beside him, stroking his head with visible emotion. I'm sorry, boy. I'm sorry I didn't understand what you were carrying. Rex licked his hand, forgiveness given without hesitation. Hayes gathered the evidence carefully. We'll need your full statement. Everything about Melissa's contact with you. Every conversation. Every meeting. Whatever you need. Sarah straightened despite her exhaustion. I want them caught, all of them. They will be. Hayes's voice carried absolute certainty. This evidence is airtight. Torres made sure of that. A thought struck Sarah. Did David have family? Chen's expression clouded. His mother, Maria. She lives in Boulder. She hasn't seen Rex since the funeral. Too painful. Sarah made a decision. When this is over, I want to meet her. I want her to know what her son accomplished, what Rex accomplished. She'd like that. Chen's voice was thick. Hayes's phone buzzed again. She checked the screen, then looked up with grim satisfaction. They found Melissa's partner, Dmitry Sokolov. Arrested at a private airfield trying to flee the country. Will he talk? They always talk when facing life sentences. Hayes smiled coldly. This operation is finished. But even as relief flooded through her, Sarah felt a chill. Melissa was still out there somewhere. Still free. Still dangerous. Rex sensed her fear. He stood, positioning himself between her and the door. His body language shifted to high alert. His job wasn't finished yet. The fire alarm erupted without warning, shrill, piercing, echoing through every corridor. Red emergency lights strobed across white walls. Automated announcements boomed from speakers. Attention, this is not a drill. Evacuate the building immediately. Proceed to nearest emergency exit. Hayes was on her feet instantly. That's not scheduled. Chen checked his radio. Confused chatter filled the channel. No smoke reported. No fire detected. Security teams scrambling for information. It's false, Hayes said grimly. Someone pulled it. Sarah stood, her hand protectively covering her belly. Melissa, we need to move. Now. Hayes grabbed her laptop and evidence bags. Chen reached for Rex's leash, but the dog was already moving. Not toward the exit like the evacuation orders demanded. Toward the back of the security office. Toward the employee corridors, leading deeper into the terminal. Rex, wrong way. Chen pulled the leash. Rex planted his feet, refused to budge. His body pointed away from the crowds, away from the obvious escape routes. A deep growl rumbled in his chest. He's tracking something. Hayes understood immediately. Trust him. Chen released the leash. Lead on, boy. Rex moved fast through the maze of corridors. Sarah struggled to keep pace, her pregnant body awkward and slow. Hayes stayed close beside her, while Chen took point behind Rex. They passed through areas civilians never saw. Maintenance rooms, employee break spaces, electrical closets. The fluorescent lighting flickered. Emergency protocols creating chaos in the airport's infrastructure. Rex stopped at a locked metal door marked Authorized Personnel Only. He scratched at it urgently. Chen swiped his security badge. The lock disengaged with a metallic click. Beyond was a stairwell leading down to baggage handling areas. Rex descended without hesitation. His nails clicked on concrete steps. The sound echoed in the narrow space. They reached the lower level. Conveyor belts stretched in all directions, motionless during the evacuation. Luggage sat frozen mid-journey. The air smelled of rubber and diesel fuel. Rex's ears swiveled forward. He froze mid-step. Hayes drew her weapon. What is it? Footsteps, multiple people, moving fast through the labyrinth of sorting machinery. Rex positioned himself in front of Sarah. His hackles rose, his body coiled tight as a spring. Come out with your hands visible, Hayes shouted. Federal agent. Silence, then movement. Shadows shifting between conveyor supports. A voice called out. Male, heavily accented. Send out the woman, just her. Everyone else walks away. Hayes kept her weapon raised. Not happening. You don't understand what you're interrupting. Very expensive operation. Very important clients waiting. Sarah's blood ran cold. They were talking about her baby. About stealing her child. And selling it to the highest bidder. Rage flooded through her fear. I'm not going anywhere with you. Harsh laughter echoed through the space. You think you have choice? We invested months in you. You are product now. Rex's growl intensified. His lips pulled back, exposing teeth. Chen whispered urgently into his radio. Officer down signal, backup needed. Baggage level sub-level 2. Hayes backed up slowly, keeping Sarah behind her. How many exits? 2. Chen's voice was tight. Both behind us now. They were trapped. Whoever was out there had positioned themselves perfectly. Sarah's heart hammered. The baby kicked frantically inside her, responding to her terror. She couldn't let them take her child, couldn't let David Torres' sacrifice be for nothing. Rex made the decision for all of them. He launched forward into the darkness between conveyor belts, snarling, moving like a missile. Immediate sounds of chaos erupted, men shouting in Russian and English. Something metal crashed to concrete. Rex's barking was vicious, controlled, tactical. Chen ran after him. Cover her! Hayes kept Sarah pinned against the wall, weapon tracking for targets. The strobing emergency lights made everything disorienting. Shadows jumped and twisted. A man stumbled backward out of the machinery, clutching his arm. Blood seeped through his fingers where Rex's jaws had clamped down. The dog had released him but stayed between the attacker and Sarah. Another figure emerged from the left. Hayes spun, weapon trained. On the ground, now. The man dove back into cover. A metallic click echoed. Something small and cylindrical rolled across the concrete floor. Hayes saw it. Her face went white. Flashbang, cover your eyes. The world exploded into white light and deafening noise. Sarah's vision whited out completely. Her ears rang with high-pitched whine. She felt Hayes's hands pulling her down, shielding her. Through the disorientation, Sarah heard Rex, still barking, still fighting, still protecting. Her vision cleared slowly, spots dancing across everything. Chen was on the ground, clutching his head. Hayes blinked rapidly, trying to regain focus. 3 men advanced through the chaos. Big, professional, moving with military precision. Rex met them head-on. He was a blur of fur and fury. Teeth snapped inches from the first man's wrist, forcing him to drop a weapon. The dog spun, shoulder-checking the second attacker's knee. The joint buckled. The man went down hard. The third man aimed a tranquilizer gun at Rex. Sarah screamed a warning she couldn't hear through her damaged ears. Rex saw the weapon, juked left. The dart whistled past, embedding in a rubber conveyor belt. Chen recovered enough to tackle the shooter from behind. They went down in a tangle of limbs. Hayes fired twice into the ceiling. The gunshots echoed like thunder. Federal agent, stand down or next shots won't be warnings. The first attacker Rex had bitten raised his hands. We're done, we're done. But the second man, the one with the damaged knee, wasn't finished. He pulled a knife from his boot, lunged toward Sarah with desperate speed. Rex intercepted him mid-lunge. 70 pounds of German Shepherd hit the man square in the chest. They crashed into a support pillar together. The knife clattered away across concrete. Rex's jaws closed on the man's throat, not biting, just holding, a clear message. Move and die. The man went completely still, whimpering, defeated. Backup flooded in seconds later. Airport police, FBI tactical teams. The baggage area filled with armed officers. Hayes kept her weapon trained until the 3 attackers were in cuffs. Only then did she lower it, hands shaking with adrenaline. Chen checked Sarah over. Are you hurt? Is the baby okay? Sarah's hands covered her belly. The baby was still kicking, still fighting. We're okay. We're okay. Rex released the man's throat and returned to Sarah's side. His tongue lolled from exertion. Blood flecked his muzzle, none of it his own. Sarah dropped to her knees despite her bulk, wrapping her arms around the dog's neck. You saved us. Again. Rex leaned into her embrace. His tail wagged slowly, deliberately. Hayes holstered her weapon, studying the captured men. Where's Melissa Sokolov? The man with the bitten arm glared at her. Silent. Hayes stepped closer. You're looking at federal trafficking charges, life sentences. Talk now and maybe we negotiate. Still silence. Then the youngest of the 3, the one with the ruined knee, broke. She left us. Said operation was compromised. Told us to clean up and meet her in Mexico. When? Tonight. Private airfield in Alamosa. He grimaced in pain. Pain. She's gone, man. She doesn't care what happens to us. Hayes was already on her phone, coordinating with Federal Aviation. Get units to every private airfield within 200 miles, now. Sarah stayed on the floor with Rex, unable to process how close they'd come. 5 minutes later and the evacuation would have separated them. 10 minutes and these men would have had her. Rex had known. Somehow he'd known the fire alarm was a trap, had led them away from danger into a controllable confrontation. Chen knelt beside them both. How did you know, boy? How did you know which way to go? Rex just looked at him with those intelligent brown eyes. Some things couldn't be explained, only trusted. Medical teams arrived to check everyone over. Sarah was helped onto a gurney despite her protests. Just precautionary, the paramedic insisted. You've been through trauma. We need to monitor the baby. Rex refused to leave her side. When they tried to load Sarah into the ambulance, he jumped in before anyone could stop him. The paramedic started to object, but Hayes cut him off. The dog stays. He's protective detail. Sarah held Rex's collar as they transported her to the hospital. Through the ambulance's back windows, she watched the airport recede. The terminal where her nightmare began, where Rex had saved her life twice in one day. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for not giving up on David's mission. Rex rested his head on the edge of her gurney. His eyes never left her face. And Sarah knew with absolute certainty that she was safe as long as this remarkable dog stood guard. Outside, Hayes coordinated the biggest trafficking bust in Colorado history. Evidence teams processed the baggage area. The 3 captured men were separated for interrogation. But somewhere out there, Melissa Sokolov was running, and the woman who'd spent months building Sarah's trust, planning to steal her child, wouldn't stop until she was thousands of miles away, or until someone stopped her. The hospital room was quiet, except for the steady beep of fetal monitoring equipment. Sarah lay propped on pillows, electrodes attached to her belly, tracking the baby's heartbeat. Strong, steady, unharmed. Rex lay on the floor beside her bed. Hospital policy forbade dogs, but Hayes had invoked federal witness protection. Nobody argued after that. Sarah's hand dangled over the bed rail, fingers buried in Rex's fur. The contact grounded her, reminded her she was safe. A nurse checked her vitals every 30 minutes. Blood pressure elevated, but stabilizing. Heart rate returning to normal. The baby showed no signs of distress, despite everything Sarah had endured. You're both incredibly lucky, the nurse said, adjusting an IV line. Another hour of that stress, and we might be having a very different conversation. Sarah's throat tightened. When can I leave? Doctor wants to monitor you overnight. Standard protocol after trauma. The nurse smiled gently. Rest. Let that brave boy watch over you. Rex's ears twitched at the attention. His eyes tracked the nurse until she left, then returned to scanning the room. Windows, door, air vents, checking every potential threat vector. Hayes entered an hour later with Chen. Both looked exhausted, but grimly satisfied. We got her. Hayes set her laptop on the rolling bedside table. Melissa Sokolov, arrested at a private airfield outside Alamosa, trying to board a charter to Guadalajara. Sarah sat up straighter. She's in custody? Federal holding facility. No bail. She's not going anywhere. Hayes opened the laptop, showing booking photos. Melissa's face, stripped of the friendly mask Sarah had known. Cold, calculating. Caught. Did she say anything? She lawyered up immediately, but we don't need her confession. Hayes pulled up files. The USB drive gave us everything. Client lists, financial records, communications with corrupted officials in 6 countries. Chen added, Dmitry Sokolov is cooperating, gave up names to reduce his sentence. We've made 14 arrests in the past 3 hours. More coming. Sarah felt tears slide down her cheeks. Relief, rage, grief for the women who hadn't been as lucky as her. The other 17 targets on the list? Her voice cracked. All contacted, all safe, local authorities providing protection. Hayes's expression softened. You saved them, Sarah. If Rex hadn't alerted on your bag, we never would have found that USB drive. Those women would have disappeared like the others. Rex saved them. Sarah looked at the dog. He's the hero. Rex's tail thumped once against linoleum. Chen knelt beside him, stroking his head with obvious emotion. David would be so proud. He'd be so damn proud. We recovered David's full investigation files from a secure cloud account, Hayes said. He'd documented everything. Melissa's network, the corrupted officials, the method of operation. He died with enough evidence to bring down the entire trafficking ring. Why didn't he turn it in before? Sarah asked. He was waiting for one more piece, direct evidence of a baby being stolen. Hayes paused. He died 3 days before he planned to make arrests. The car bomb prevented him from finishing. Until today, Chen's voice was thick. Until Rex finished it for him. Sarah understood the weight Rex had carried these 4 months. Not just grief, purpose, mission, the determination to complete what his partner started. What happens now? She asked. Trials, lots of them. This case will take years to fully prosecute. Hayes closed her laptop. You'll need to testify. Melissa befriending you, her access to your travel plans, the suitcase. I'll do whatever it takes. We know you will. Hayes stood. For now, rest, heal. We have enough to hold everyone involved. Chen lingered after Hayes left to coordinate with federal prosecutors. He sat in the visitor chair, watching Rex with something like wonder. I almost retired him, he said quietly. Thought he was too traumatized to work, too broken. He wasn't broken. Sarah stroked Rex's ears. He was waiting. For the right mission. The right person to protect. Chen smiled sadly. David used to say Rex had a sixth sense, could smell danger before it materialized. I thought it was handler pride, but it's true. What happens to him now? Chen looked uncomfortable. Technically, he's federal property. K-9 unit can reassign him. Sarah's hand tightened in Rex's fur. The thought of losing him felt unbearable. He'd saved her life twice, protected her baby, completed his fallen handler's mission while standing guard over her. Can I adopt him? The words came out before she'd fully formed the thought. Chen's eyes widened. That's not standard procedure. Nothing about today was standard. Sarah's voice strengthened. He chose me, Officer Chen. In that baggage area, when he could have followed you, he stayed with me. That means something. It does. Chen was quiet for a long moment. Let me talk to my captain. There's precedent for handler family adoptions when a K-9 refuses reassignment. David's mother is his only family. And you're a witness under federal protection with an active threat history. Chen smiled slightly. I think I can make a case. Rex's tail wagged harder, as if he understood every word. Sarah's phone buzzed. A video call from overseas. Marcus. She answered with shaking hands. His face filled the screen, concerned and confused. Sarah? I got a call from some detective. She said you were in the hospital. What happened? Sarah didn't know where to start. The words tumbled out in a rush. Melissa, the suitcase, Rex, the trafficking network, the confrontation in the baggage area. Marcus's expression cycled through shock, horror, rage, and finally relief. You're okay? The baby's okay? We're both fine, because of this incredible dog. She angled the phone so Marcus could see Rex lying beside her bed. Marcus stared at the German Shepherd. That's a police dog. That's Rex. He detected the drugs in my suitcase, saved us from being kidnapped, fought off 3 men trying to take me. Sarah's voice cracked. He's a hero, Marcus. He's your hero. Marcus wiped his eyes. God, Sarah, I'm so sorry. I should have been there. You couldn't have known. Nobody could have. Except Rex. Somehow Rex had known. I'm requesting emergency leave. I'll be home in 48 hours. You don't have to. Yes, I do. You need me. Our baby needs me. Marcus's jaw set with determination. I'm coming home. After the call ended, Sarah felt the emotional weight of the day crash over her. Exhaustion dragged at every muscle. The baby kicked gently, as if offering reassurance. We're okay, little one, she whispered. We're safe now. Rex stood, stretching. He moved to the window, looking out over the hospital parking lot. His body language remained alert despite his obvious fatigue. Chen noticed. He's still on duty. Will he ever relax? Eventually, when he's certain the threat is completely neutralized. Chen stood. I'll let you rest. I'll be right outside if you need anything. After he left, Sarah closed her eyes. The events replayed in her mind. Melissa's betrayal. The hidden compartment. Rex's desperate barking. The fire alarm. The baggage area confrontation. She should have died today. Her baby should have been stolen. 17 other women. N should have suffered the same fate. But they didn't, because a grieving dog refused to give up on his handler's unfinished mission. Sarah looked at Rex, silhouetted against the window. Thank you. For David, for me, for all of us. Rex turned his head, meeting her eyes. In that gaze, Sarah saw intelligence, determination, and something else. Peace. For the first time since David Torres died, Rex had found peace. He'd completed his mission, protected the innocent, honored his fallen partner, and maybe, just maybe, found a new family in the process. Hours passed. Night fell over Denver. The hospital quieted as visiting hours ended. Rex never left his post by the window. Sarah drifted in and out of sleep, always aware of his presence. Solid, unwavering, guardian. She dreamed of David Torres, a man she'd never met, but whose sacrifice had saved her life. She dreamed of him training Rex, teaching him to detect danger, building the bond that transcended death. When she woke in the early morning hours, Rex was beside her bed again. His head rested on the mattress, close enough to touch. "You miss him," Sarah whispered. "You'll always miss him." Rex's eyes reflected the dim monitoring lights. Sad, but no longer lost. "But you're not alone anymore. Neither am I." She stroked his head gently. "We'll remember him together. We'll honor what he did, what you both did." Rex's tail moved slowly. Acceptance. Agreement. Outside, dawn began painting the sky in shades of gold and purple. A new day. A second chance. Sarah placed her hand on her belly, feeling the baby shift and settle. This child would grow up knowing the story of the hero dog who saved his life before he was even born. And Rex would be there to watch him grow, to protect him, to teach him through example what loyalty and courage truly meant. The nightmare was over. The healing could begin. Together. Sarah was released from the hospital the following afternoon. Chen arrived with Rex to escort her home. The dog stayed close as she moved slowly through the discharge process, his body a constant presence against her leg. The drive to her apartment was quiet. Sarah watched Denver pass outside the window. Normal people living normal lives, none of them knowing how close she'd come to losing everything. Chen carried her overnight bag up 3 flights of stairs. Her apartment felt foreign after everything that had happened. The furniture she'd arranged, the nursery she'd prepared, all of it seemed to belong to a different person from a different life. Rex explored every room methodically, checking corners, sniffing under furniture, ensuring no threats lurked in her home. "He'll settle once he's mapped the space," Chen said. "Give him time." Sarah sank onto her couch, exhausted despite having done nothing but lie in a hospital bed. "When will you know about the adoption?" "Captain wants to meet you first. Tomorrow, if you're up for it." Chen hesitated. "I should warn you, Captain Barnes is old school. He doesn't approve of early canine retirements." "Rex isn't retiring, he's transitioning." Sarah's voice was firm. "There's a difference." Chen smiled. "Tell him that." After he left, Sarah sat alone with Rex. The dog had completed his security sweep and now sat facing the front door, alert, watchful. "You can relax," Sarah said softly. "We're safe here." Rex's ears swiveled toward her voice, but his eyes stayed locked on the door. Sarah understood. Safety was something earned through vigilance. Rex wouldn't trust it easily, not after what he'd witnessed, not after losing David. She made tea with shaking hands. Everything felt surreal. Yesterday morning, she'd been preparing for a simple flight. Now her entire world had shifted on its axis. Her phone rang. "Detective Hayes. How are you feeling?" Hayes asked. "Tired, overwhelmed, grateful." Sarah cradled the warm mug. "Any updates?" "Melissa's still refusing to talk, but Dimitri gave us enough to connect her to 12 recovered children. We're working with international authorities to locate the others." Hayes paused. "There's something else. Something I thought you should know." Sarah's stomach tightened. "What?" "We found David Torres' personal effects, items stored after his death. Among them was a journal." Hayes's voice softened. "He wrote about Rex, about their bond, about the investigation." "What did it say?" "That he knew the work was dangerous, that he'd made arrangements for Rex if anything happened to him." Hayes was quiet for a moment. He wanted Rex to find a family, someone who'd understand what he'd been through and give him a peaceful life. Tears burned Sarah's eyes. He knew he might not survive. He knew, and he did it anyway because he couldn't stand the thought of more families being destroyed. Hayes cleared her throat. "I'm sending you copies of the relevant pages. I think you should read them." After the call ended, Sarah's email chimed. She opened the attachment with trembling fingers. David Torres's handwriting was neat, precise. The entries dated back 6 months. Rex is the best partner I've ever had. He doesn't just detect explosives. He detects evil, senses it in ways I can't explain. If something happens to me, I hope he finds someone worthy of that gift. Someone who needs protecting as much as he needs purpose. Sarah read through entries documenting the investigation. David's growing concern about the trafficking network, his frustration with bureaucratic obstacles, his determination to stop them regardless of personal risk. The final entry was dated 3 days before his death. I'm close. So close to having everything we need for arrests, but I know they're watching, know they've identified me. If I don't make it, I hope Rex remembers our training. Hope he finishes what I started. He's smart enough, loyal enough. And someone out there is someone who needs him as much as he'll need them. I have to believe that. Sarah pressed the phone to her chest, crying openly. David had known, had accepted his likely death because the mission mattered more than his survival. And he'd been right. Rex had finished it, had found someone who needed him desperately. Rex moved from his post at the door. He approached Sarah slowly, resting his chin on her knee. His brown eyes held understanding that transcended language. I'll take care of you, Sarah promised. The way David would have wanted. The way you deserve. Rex's tail wagged gently. The next morning, Chen arrived to drive her to the K9 unit headquarters. The facility was industrial. Concrete and chain-link fencing. Dogs barked from kennels as they walked through. Captain Barnes waited in his office. He was late 50s, gray-haired, with the bearing of a man who'd spent decades in law enforcement. His expression was skeptical as Sarah entered with Rex at her side. Mrs. Mitchell, have a seat. Sarah sat. Rex remained standing, positioned between her and Barnes. Officer Chen says you want to adopt Rex. Barnes's tone suggested he'd already decided against it. Yes, sir. Rex is a highly trained federal asset. 4 years of specialized training. Countless hours of fieldwork. He's detected explosives that saved hundreds of lives. Barnes leaned back. Why should I let a civilian take him? Sarah met his gaze steadily. Because he's traumatized. Because he watched his handler die. Because he deserves peace after everything he sacrificed. Working dogs find peace through work. Through structure and purpose. And he'll have purpose. Sarah's voice strengthened. Therapy work. PTSD support for veterans. Training demonstrations for new handlers. He can still serve, just differently. Barnes studied her. You're 7 months pregnant. Traveling alone, no family nearby. How exactly do you plan to care for a working dog? My husband returns from deployment tomorrow. We have a house, a yard, a life rebuilding. Sarah paused. And I have first-hand experience of what Rex is capable of, what he needs, what he deserves. Many people think they understand working dogs. Very few actually do. Rex made the decision for everyone. He moved to Barnes's desk and sat, perfectly still, perfectly obedient. Then he turned his head toward Sarah. A clear statement of choice. Barnes's expression shifted. He's never done that before. Done what? Sarah asked. Acknowledged a civilian as his handler. Barnes stood, moving around the desk to crouch beside Rex. You've bonded with her, haven't you, boy? Rex's tail wagged. Confirmation. Barnes was quiet for a long moment. There's precedent for handler family adoptions when a canine refuses reassignment. David Torres's mother is elderly, unable to care for an active dog. I know, I'd like to meet her. To share what Rex accomplished, what David accomplished. Barnes returned to his chair, pulling out paperwork. Standard adoption requires home inspection, veterinary commitment. Agreement to allow occasional use for training demonstrations. I agree to all of it. And if Rex shows signs he needs to return to active duty? Sarah looked at Rex. The dog met her eyes with calm certainty. He won't. His mission is complete. He's ready for what comes next. Barnes signed the forms with visible reluctance. He saved your life, protected federal evidence, completed his handler's investigation. That earns him the right to choose his future. He slid the papers across the desk. He's yours, Mrs. Mitchell. Take care of him. Sarah's hands shook as she signed. When she finished, Rex's tail wagged harder, as if he understood he was finally, officially home. Chen drove them back to Sarah's apartment. Captain Barnes never approves early retirements. You impressed him. Rex impressed him. Sarah stroked the dog's head, I just spoke the truth. That evening, Sarah received a call from an unknown number. She answered hesitantly. Mrs. Mitchell, this is Maria Torres, David's mother. Sarah's breath caught. Mrs. Torres, I'm so glad you called. Officer Chen told me what happened, what Rex did. Maria's voice trembled. I've been too afraid to see him since David died. Too painful. But I need to meet you, need to see that he's okay. Of course, whenever you're ready. They arranged to meet the following week. After hanging up, Sarah looked at Rex, curled beside the couch. He slept peacefully for the first time since entering her life. No tension in his muscles, no vigilance in his posture. Just rest. Earned and deserved. Sarah's hand moved to her belly. The baby kicked gently. In 2 months, he'd be born into a world that was safer because of David Torres' sacrifice and Rex's determination. She pulled out her phone, typing a text to Marcus. Coming home to something unexpected. We have a dog now, a hero. Can't wait for you to meet him. Marcus's response came quickly. Can't wait to meet him either. And you. And our son. 48 hours. Sarah closed her eyes, letting the reality settle over her. The nightmare was over. The traffickers were caught. The evidence secured. 17 women were safe. 12 stolen children were being reunited with their families. And Rex, the dog who'd carried his handler's mission through grief and trauma, had found his peace. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. Testimony preparation, media attention, the long process of healing. But tonight, Sarah and Rex rested together. 2 survivors bound by shared trauma and unexpected salvation. The dog who refused to give up, the woman he'd refused to let them take. Both finally, truly safe. 3 months later, golden autumn light painted Sarah's living room in shades of amber and copper. She sat in a rocking chair by the window, cradling her newborn son against her chest. The baby slept peacefully, tiny fists curled near his face. Rex lay on the floor beside them. His eyes tracked every movement, but his posture was relaxed, content, home. Marcus sat on the couch, watching his family with visible emotion. He'd been home for 2 months now. His deployment ended early through emergency leave that became permanent reassignment. Some things were more important than military service, like protecting the family a trafficking network had tried to destroy. He's perfect, Marcus whispered, afraid to wake the baby. He is. Sarah smiled down at her son. David Marcus Mitchell, named for 2 heroes. Rex's ears perked at the sound of David's name. His tail thumped softly against hardwood floor. The doorbell rang. Rex was on his feet instantly, moving to the door with controlled alertness, not aggressive, just watchful. Marcus checked the security camera. It's detected Hayes. He opened the door. Hayes entered carrying a laptop and a folder thick with documents. She'd aged in 3 months. The case had consumed her life, but satisfaction showed in her eyes. How's the little Nan? She smiled at the baby. Sleeping, eating, and making us question if we'll ever sleep again. Sarah laughed quietly. Normal baby things, wonderful baby things. Hayes set her materials on the coffee table. I have news, wanted to tell you in person. Everyone moved to the living room. Rex positioned himself between the baby and the door, always protecting, always vigilant. Melissa Sokoloff took a plea deal yesterday, Hayes said. Life sentence without parole. In exchange, she gave us everything. Names, locations, financial records, the entire network. Sarah's throat tightened. And the children? All 23 stolen babies have been located. 19 reunited with biological mothers. 4 in cases where mothers were deceased, placed with family members. Hayes opened her laptop, showing photos. Young women holding infants, crying with joy. Families made whole again. Because of the evidence Rex found, Marcus said quietly. Because of what David Torres built and Rex finished. Hayes pulled documents from the folder. 47 arrests across 6 countries. Corrupt officials, traffickers, black market adoption attorneys. The entire operation dismantled. She showed news clippings, international headlines. D-lines. The case had made global waves, exposed systemic corruption, changed laws in 3 countries regarding international adoption protocols. The 17 women on Melissa's current target list all testified at trial. Every single one credited you and Rex with saving their families. Hayes smiled. You're heroes, both of you. Sarah looked at Rex. The dog's attention remained fixed on the baby. His true priority, his chosen mission. Rex did the work. I was just there. You were the reason he could finish it. Hayes closed the laptop. There's something else. The city wants to honor you both. Ceremony at the police memorial next week. Marcus squeezed Sarah's hand. We'll be there. After Hayes left, Sarah placed the sleeping baby in his bassinet. Rex immediately moved beside it, assuming his usual guard position. He'd spent 3 months protecting David Marcus Mitchell, slept beside the nursery every night, alerted at every unusual sound. The baby had never been safer. A week later, Sarah stood at the police memorial plaza in downtown Denver. Hundreds of people filled the space. Officers in dress uniforms, civilians holding signs, media cameras positioned throughout. Marcus held baby David, who was miraculously quiet despite the crowd. Rex sat at attention beside Sarah, wearing a ceremonial collar with David Torres's badge number engraved on the tag. The mayor stepped to the podium. We gather today to honor extraordinary courage. 4 months ago, a trafficking network operated in our city, stealing children from vulnerable families. They might have continued indefinitely if not for 2 heroes. He gestured to Sarah and Rex. Applause rippled through the crowd. Sarah Mitchell, 7 months pregnant and alone, became an unwitting target, and Rex, a canine officer grieving his fallen handler, refused to let evil win. The mayor's voice strengthened. Together, they exposed a network that destroyed families across multiple countries. Together, they saved 17 women and helped recover 23 stolen children. The crowd erupted in cheers. Sarah's eyes burned with tears. Chen approached the podium next, carrying a framed photograph. Officer David Torres gave his life investigating this network. He knew the risks. He accepted them because he couldn't stand by while innocent people suffered. Chen's voice cracked. His partner, Rex, carried that mission forward, completed what David started. Today, we honor them both. He unveiled the photograph. David Torres in uniform, Rex sitting proudly beside him. The image was mounted on the memorial wall, joining hundreds of other fallen officers. An elderly woman moved through the crowd toward Sarah. Maria Torres. They'd met twice in the past months, building a connection through shared love for David and Rex. Maria embraced Sarah carefully, mindful of the baby. Thank you. For giving him purpose again. For letting me be part of his life. Your family now, Sarah said. Always. Maria knelt slowly, her joints protesting. She cupped Rex's face in weathered hands. Good boy. Such a good boy. David would be so proud. Rex licked her cheek gently. His tail wagged with genuine happiness. The ceremony continued. Testimonials from the rescued mothers. 9 women stood together on stage, some holding babies, the children who should have been stolen, the families who should have been destroyed. One woman approached the microphone. Jennifer Cortez, the woman whose passport had been in Sarah's suitcase. She held a 6-month-old baby girl. 8 months ago, they took me, drugged me, tried to steal my daughter. Jennifer's voice was strong despite tears. They told me she died. I believed them. Until Detective Hayes found me and brought my baby back. She looked at Sarah. You saved us. All of us. We'll never forget. The crowd rose in standing ovation. Sarah couldn't stop crying. Rex pressed against her leg, offering silent support. After the ceremony, families approached Sarah and Rex, thanking them, showing photos of children who were safe because of their actions. Each story was a life reclaimed, a family preserved. Marcus watched his wife handle the attention with grace, their son sleeping against his chest. Rex never left her side, patient through every hug and handshake. Finally, as the crowd dispersed, Chen approached with Captain Barnes. There's something we'd like you to consider, Barnes said. A therapy dog program. Rex visiting veterans with PTSD, helping them heal the way he's healing. Sarah looked at Rex. Would he be okay with that? We'd start slow, controlled environments, but I think he has a gift. Barnes's stern expression softened. He understands trauma. Carries it, but doesn't let it define him. That's powerful medicine for people struggling with their own wounds. Sarah knelt beside Rex. What do you think, boy? Ready to help more people? Rex's tail wagged decisively. Purpose. He'd always need purpose. Then we'll do it. Sarah stood. together. The sun was setting as they walked back to their car. The memorial plaza emptied slowly, families lingering in the golden light. Sarah carried baby David now, Marcus's arm around her shoulders. Rex walked beside them, his gait confident and sure. They stopped at David Torres's memorial plaque. The photograph showed a young officer full of determination and hope. Rex sat before it, perfectly still. "Thank you," Sarah whispered, "for training him, for loving him, for giving everything to stop evil." She placed flowers at the base of the memorial. Marcus saluted, military precision honoring a fellow serviceman's sacrifice. Baby David woke, making small sounds. Rex immediately looked up, checking on his tiny charge. The baby's hand reached out, grabbing Rex's ear. The dog didn't flinch, just leaned closer, letting the infant hold on. Marcus laughed softly. "They're going to grow up together." "Partners," Sarah agreed, like Rex and David were. They walked to the parking lot as stars began appearing in the darkening sky. Denver spread out around them, lights flickering to life across the city. Somewhere in that sprawling landscape were the families they'd saved, children growing up safe, mothers sleeping peacefully beside recovered babies. All because a grieving dog refused to let his handler's death be meaningless. At home, Sarah fed the baby while Marcus prepared dinner. Rex lay on his bed in the corner, watching the domestic scene with contentment. The doorbell rang. Rex alerted, but didn't bark. He'd learned to differentiate between threats and visitors. Marcus opened the door to find a delivery, a package addressed to Sarah, no return address. Inside was a leather-bound journal, David Torres's personal notebook. A note from Hayes explained it had been cleared as evidence and was being returned to family. Sarah opened it carefully. Page after page of David's thoughts. His hopes for Rex's future, his determination to stop the traffickers, his acceptance of potential death. The final page held a photograph, tucked between pages. David and Rex on a mountain trail, both smiling, both alive with purpose. Sarah placed the photo on the mantel beside her mother's picture and Rex's ceremonial collar from today's ceremony. 3 generations of protection, 3 examples of sacrificial love. Rex approached, studying the photos. His tail wagged slowly as he looked at David's image. "He's proud of you," Sarah said. "Wherever he is, he's proud." That night, after the baby was asleep and Marcus had collapsed into bed exhausted, Sarah sat in the nursery rocking chair. Rex lay beside the crib, his breathing deep and even. She thought about everything that had changed in 3 months. The terror at the airport, the revelations about Melissa, the confrontation in the baggage area, the arrests, the trial, today's ceremony. All of it leading to this moment. Peace, safety, family. "Thank you," she whispered to Rex, "for not giving up. For finishing what David started. For choosing us." Rex's eyes opened briefly, met hers in the dim nursery light, then closed again, content. Sarah looked at her sleeping son. David Marcus Mitchell, named for heroes, protected by a hero. This child would grow up knowing the story, would understand sacrifice and courage, would learn from Rex what true loyalty meant, and someday, when he was old enough to understand, Sarah would take him to the memorial. Show him David Torres's plaque. Tell him about the officer who gave everything to protect people he'd never met, and about the remarkable dog who loved his handler enough to finish the mission, who found healing through purpose, who proved that heroes come in many forms. Sometimes they wear badges. Sometimes they have 4 paws and a heart bigger than anyone expects. Outside, autumn wind rustled through trees. The city slept peacefully. And in a small nursery in suburban Denver, a baby dreamed under the watchful protection of a hero who would never let him come to harm. Rex's vigil continued, as it always would. Some missions never truly end. They just find new forms, new purposes, new lives to protect. And that was exactly how David Torres would have wanted it. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Rex's story proves that healing and purpose can find us in the most unexpected ways. What's your country? Let me know below.